Coach, your team is 3-1, playing a good brand of football. What do you like most about this team so far this year?
Well, that we found that we can win multiple different ways. You know, you look at the first one of the season, we had a lead. Uh, they got back in it, and we didn't, crumble. We found a way to stick it out and win and make a play. The second one we had a little more control over it in the second half with Pittsburgh, and just were able to keep that 14-point lead and win. And then this one, we were down right from the get-go. The whole first halftime down 14 points, and for those guys believe that we're still to win the game and get back in it and win. That's important. In this league, you got to win any way it comes at you. And so I think it's important for our team to have experienced that in three different ways in the first quarter of the season and know that we're capable of winning any which way. And that's going to serve us well as the season goes.
Thank you.
Zach, any update on Joe Mixon after last night?
Not yet. I think what I said last night still stands. Just overall with the injuries, we're in a pretty good place right now. I'm positive on everybody moving into next week. Obviously, we got to see guys move around a little bit on Monday and Wednesday, but it's moving in a positive direction with every guy who's on the injury report right now. That's Cheeto, that's Joe Mixon, that's Xavier Suafilo, Jessie, and then T and Ricardo Allen. I think all those guys will have a chance. It just remains to be seen on Monday and Wednesday where all those guys are at.
Zach, what about Khalid Kareem? Just while we're on injuries.
Yeah, he's coming around in the right direction. We're not ready yet to bring him off of IR, but everything's going well right now.
Coach, how gratifying is it?
Go ahead, Lap. Sorry.
How gratifying is it that when you ran the screen to CJ that Joe audibleized to, that it wasn't necessarily in the game plan but was in the playbook? That doesn't do you any good if just the quarterback's on the page, everybody's on the page, and everybody executed. How gratifying is it that they got the nose in the playbook like that?
Yeah, it's good. And just to clarify, it is a screen that we practice. Usually CJ is just blocking at the point of attack. So
right.
It's not like we don't run the screen. We actually ran it earlier in the game as well. So it's something we practice. It's just we usually format it a little bit different. But again, that's just CJ being on top of the details and understanding if I'm in the position to actually run the screen, I know how to do it. I know what the catch point's going to be, and I know the important thing is put my foot in the ground and get inside of one and maybe two guys and get north and south. And that's what he did. And Joe obviously had the confidence to put him in that position, because he could have gone the other way. He could have gone to Jamar if he wanted to. And again, he just, I think, wanted more field to work with, and there was a little more space over there.
Zach, just to clarify, when you all those guys, the Packers next.
Jeremy, you cut. I didn't hear anything you said there.
I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
When you talked about the injured players, you said all those guys will have a chance. Are you saying, just to clarify, a chance to play against the Packers next Sunday?
Yeah, a chance, but a lot of those guys we haven't gotten a chance to really work out on Monday or Wednesday. Wednesday is really the next full speed practice we'll have. So you'll learn more. They're obviously doing stuff with Nick and the trainers, and but they're saying the right things. They seem to be feeling and trending the right direction with the trainers. But again, we got to get them on the field next week to really know if they're going to be capable to do it. So sometimes you feel good, and then you go out there and you have a Wednesday practice, you're really sore and you're not ready to come back yet. So, but again, it's nothing that looks like it's going to be long-term. It's mostly short-term stuff with those guys.
Zach, when you watch the film, what stood out in that first half as to why the offense didn't get going like it did in the second half?
Really just two critical third downs. We had a little bit of a missed assignment in the routes on 3rd and 8 that, I don't think it threw Joe off, but it threw the play off a little bit, and we didn't convert. And then we had a 3rd and 2 where we lost some yards on a route as we were really at the sticks. And sometimes on the shallow crosses, the receiver's eyes come back, they end up bleeding back towards the quarterback. And so, you look at a 3rd and 8 and a 32, if you convert those, things are a lot different. And we got the OPI on the first drive. We felt like we had a good drive, missed a field goal. So it wasn't as bad as it felt. It wasn't as bad as it probably looked. It really just comes down to 2 3rd downs where we just didn't execute like we expect to. And then all of a sudden you're off the field, and it's amplified when obviously we're keeping our defense out, and now they're giving up long drives and we're not getting many possessions. So now you don't get the opportunities when you have 2 or 3 and outs. It just feels like you've done nothing. when in reality, you only had 4 drives in the first half, and one of them was really positive. So those are things that I think allow us not to panic at halftime. We know as a coaching staff and can relay that to their players. Hey, listen, we just 2 drives really killed us here, and we're going to be fine. We can move the ball. We just got to settle down and maybe try to go a couple different things. We were a little more downhill in the run game with the 4 or 5 runs we were able to call in the first half. It wasn't very many. Second half, we just changed it up a little bit and helped us get into by the rhythm.
Zach, situational football is such a big deal. And at the end of the game, it was not 4-minute offense. You got it back with 5:33 to go, but it was, for all intents and purposes, felt like 4-minute offense.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how well you executed that at the end of the game and how critical that was?
Yeah, it was. It's 5.5 minutes, so your urgency has to be that we have to go score. It's not like you said it perfectly. It's not 4-minute mode yet until you cross about the 50, and now you feel like you're in that scoring range, and now we got to start being mindful of the clock. And it got a little hectic around the 50. If you get, we had a penalty, we had a false start, we had a holding call, so things kind of made it a little more awkward than we anticipated. But I thought that really the communication just comes from the coaches to Joe. Hey, Joe, now we're managing the clock a little bit more, and so he can allow us to come out of the huddle a little bit later, wind that clock down, and still put us in a good position to go kick a field goal with plenty of time left. So I thought our players handled that really well, and it's something we talk about a lot. We have these situational meetings every Friday with the team. We meet again on Saturday as a staff, and so I feel like we really do a good job communicating all that and staying on top of it.
Zach, do you have a spot for McPherson in your mind? Do you have a yard line where you would feel comfortable with him?
Absolutely. That's Darren. Darren's got all the experience in the world, and in pregame and at halftime, I'm usually updated on, in the normal flow of the game, where we feel confident in. And then if you got to have it on the last play of the game, if you need to back it up a couple more yards, obviously with Agnew changes things. You saw what he did last week. And so, had we been in the situation at the end of the half to kick a 68 yarder, you're a little less likely to do that because of what he just did against Arizona. But those are things that Darren always does a really good job communicating in pregame and halftime.
So would you line him up for a 66 shot? Would you be confident to line him up for something like that, a 66 shot or a 68 yard?
Yeah, Evan's got a big leg. He's got the confidence to do it.
Zach, how do you feel like?
Sorry, go ahead, Kelsey, and then Ben.
When you went back and watched the defensive film, was it more of self-inflicted wounds you found that you guys were making defensively, or was Jacksonville doing something that maybe caught you guys off guard a little bit in the first half?
No, they did a good job. They were efficient on first and second down, and they got into really manageable third and shorts. That's how you want to play the game. That's smart football. There were some calls where we were just slightly out of place, and it allows them to get some not chunk plays, but 6-yard carries, 7-yard carries. And then we got to do a better job leveraging the quarterback when he was on the perimeter. But those are things we cleaned up in the second half. Their rushing yards in the second half were very minimal. Their total offense in the second half was very minimal. So again, you're going to have bad quarters, bad halves. You just got to calm down and make sure we get back to the basics. And I thought our guys did a really nice job of that in the second half and on offense and defense. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, Zach, the way that Joe talked about, making the check and kind of what he saw and anticipated, he kind of spoke a lot about the preparation he had going into that game. How do you feel like his knowledge of just the NFL, other schemes, and just overall, concepts and what other teams do in preparation has just grown since he's been in the league?
Yeah, it's going by the day, just his awareness of, because Dan Pitcher does do a great job of educating these guys on the backgrounds of the coaches that they're going against and the schemes and where it all comes from. And here's maybe a team we played last year. You're going to see some similar things that should make sense to you. You just start to accumulate that experience. Joe, all the positive things we say about Joe, the one thing is just the earned experience in this league. And so he's only going to improve with every game he plays, every coordinator he faces, every different zero look he sees, which may be different than the last. He stores it away. And that's what's critical about your quarterback is you got to be able to store those memories away. And he's done a really good job of that. And Dan Pitcher does an excellent job, on a short week, making sure he gets all the information. There's only so much the coaches can communicate. It is on the players to study that extra tape and see some looks that maybe we just don't have the time to talk through. Or so I really think Dan Pitcher and Brian Callahan's in that room a lot too. They do an excellent job just as a whole with Joe and Brandon and Jake and Brad Coythorpe's in there sometimes too. So it's just it's a fun room if you ever got a chance to can't because you're not allowed in the building. But if you ever got a chance to sit in those rooms, I think that would be an experience that people would really enjoy, is just watching what goes on in a 2-hour quarterback meeting on a Wednesday morning, and the things that get discussed, and then how that evolves to a Friday, and how that evolves to a Saturday morning and Saturday night. Just as you see the quarterback start the game plan really slow down and have the understanding, and it's a really neat process over the course of 5 days of where a quarterback starts on a Tuesday to a Wednesday morning and where they end up on a Saturday night. It's unique. I don't know many experiences in life where it's very similar to that.
Zach, it
With
looked
Trey
like Joe not
Waynes,
only it
Go ahead,
looked
go
like
ahead, Dan.
thanks. It looked like Joe not only had a lot of time to throw last night, but a lot of space to step into his throws. I don't remember many where he saw much of a push up front. How encouraged are you by the growth of the offensive line in the first 4 weeks?
It's been really, really fun to see, and it's really all 5 of those guys playing together. They do a really nice job. And, Joe would tell you it's the clean runners that get you. It's the guys that edge players. Typically he can see that and be able to move around. And those things aren't always create the adversity that a clean runner comes with. So our guys have done a great job communicating their protections, being on the same page, and just covering guys up and blocking them and giving Joe the space in the pocket to do what he needs to do. And then Joe's done a nice job getting the ball out of his hand. He doesn't sit back there and just hold it every play. He does a good job sometimes on some maybe even deeper progression plays where he just spits the ball out quick, and takes the pressure off those guys up front a little bit.
Coach,
With
it
Trey
seemed like
Waynes, did you go into the game expecting Trey to have a full load, or was that going to be a feel thing to see how he held up?
Yeah, that would be a feel thing. I know Trey's mindset was, I'm going to play the whole game. Fortunately, it wasn't an 85 play game because just, again, a guy who hasn't really gone through that in a long time, that's not easy. So fortunate that the play count was what it was. Trey managed it well. He's only going to improve every single game as he gets out there and gets more comfortable. And so that's a step in the right direction for us in the secondary. Go ahead,
Coach,
Dave.
second down in the first half seemed to be a problem. Second down in the second half seemed to be a major strength. I mean, you got some big plays on second down, and it makes third down life a lot easier. What did you change anything on second down? Did you just find yourself in different situations on second down?
Yeah, we had a ball batted on a second down. They pressured us into a run look on a second medium there that got us in the first half, and then we had our lone sack of the game was on a 1st and 10 that put us in a second long. So. Right. Those, and we only had 4 drives. Those are 3 of them right there. And so again, it's, it always feels at halftime like, man, what's going wrong for us? Then you watch the tape and you realize, oh, that wasn't as complicated as it felt at the time. But we see that through the pictures too, and that's what allows us to communicate to our players. We see those pictures after every play. And so you get a chance to say, okay, this isn't, we have an answer for this and we can get to it quickly.
2 more minutes.
Zach, after the game, I think you stood in the tunnel there and kind of gave a hug about every single player that came off the field. I'm curious how often you do that type of thing, and maybe how this one was different than other times you do something like that.
No, oftentimes after games you go around the locker room and speak to the guys, but it's just kind of where I found myself standing at the end of the game. And when you just love these guys, seriously, every one of them coming off the field, it's just an awesome group of guys that you love to coach and you're happy for. And they've now found 3 different ways to win games for you. They're playing hard for their coaches. They're playing hard for each other. They're playing hard for the city of Cincinnati. It's just really cool to see. And again, we just got to continue to get better, raise our standard. It only gets harder from here. It doesn't get any easier. We all know that it's going to get harder as we move forward. And it's hard to stay consistent and keep working and not just say, oh, we're a good team, we're 3-1. It's not the way it works. I've seen plenty of 3-1 teams not handle success the right way, early success the right way. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned from other teams that have been in this position throughout the last couple of years that we can draw on. And I'm encouraged that we have the right leadership that's going to keep raising the standard and keep pushing us in the right direction.
Coach,
When you've said that they're connected, you've said a lot how connected they are.
Yeah.
This team is so connected. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that has happened maybe so quickly early in this season?
I think we've identified the right people that should be in the building. And that's through guys who have been drafted here before I got here. That's guys who we brought in free agency, and that's guys we've targeted in the draft. And you just feel like you got 69 of those guys right now, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch them. They love each other. They love playing for each other. They're not selfish. They don't need their own stats and their own accolades, their own game balls. You just watch when you give out the game balls after a game, the reaction of the team, and they're just so happy for the guys that get them, and just awesome to see.
Zach, there seemed to be a lot that went right on that second CJ touchdown, from Tyler Boyd's kind of hesitation off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Jackson Carman blocking on the backside to allow Joe to get out and sprint. Can you talk about the details that go into a play like that to make it work?
Yeah. It's a man beater. We identified man coverage, and so we get to a man beater. They tried to pass it off, and so they ended up double covering the guy that we were trying to target. Because they didn't maybe accurately communicate the pass off. One guy tried to pass it off and the other guy stuck with TB. So again, CJ was coming in there, just trying to create a presence for the guy covering Tyler Boyd, and two guys ended up going with TB. So now CJ's uncovered. There's no one covering him. But unfortunately, Joe couldn't see him because one of their droppers, I think it was 41 on that play, dropped right underneath CJ. So I can see it. I see CJ wide open, giving the ball. I then see the replay on the big screen of Joe's got 41 right in his vision. He can't find CJ. So that's what makes Joe move. He's kind of signaling at CJ, hey, get out of that space. I can't get it to you. The line did a great job protecting. CJ got in phase as Joe went left. CJ worked back across the field and phase with the quarterback. We never want to work away from Joe. We want to work with him, and ended up making a great play. So it was just go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. The accuracy of the pass
Yeah.
also pretty special.
Yeah, really good throwing to his left. The best throw of the game was the first touchdown to CJ, to be honest with you. As a quarterback, I got texts from quarterbacks I've coached over the years after the game. Why do you run so many keepers to your left? You put us in a tough spot, and Josh Allen rushes right up the field as Joe comes off his fake, and that's a tough one to get your shoulders around and create an awkward throwing angle to get the ball around Josh. So that is probably, maybe Joe would tell you differently, but for me, that was the throw of the game, because I know how difficult that can be.
Last question,
Coach,
Box. I know you were trying to get in.
Yeah, thank you. Coach, CJ was effusive in his praise for Tyler Boyd and just how much he puts into the slot position and placement and learning defense. I mean, he just went on, and just talk about how he just continues to prove how much better he wants to be.
Yeah, there's he understands what we're trying to accomplish. He really knows how to attack voids and attack defenders when they're covering down on him, different body types. He's a longer slot than a lot of slots in this league, and so he's a bigger target, allows you to do more things. So it's rare that guys with that kind of length have that quickness that he has. So he's got some really good traits there, and he and Joe just have really good chemistry, because a lot of those option routes that he's running could be incompletions. They could be interceptions, if you're not on the same page. And Joe just knows how to be patient and how to read TB's body language. And they're just always on the same page. And it's a beautiful thing to watch.